Very, and it's interesting to me because when you explain you and Bill, he was almost the complete opposite of who you were. You didn't have the self-confidence.
No.
He had exorbitant amounts. You didn't have necessarily the education. He had all the education.
Right.
And so another way of manipulation, which was you were just like, you couldn't.
We weren't, other than maybe the way, we were both tall, and he was dark, I was fair. But the other things, we really didn't have that much in common. Well, we were both from small town Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. He was from a little bitty tiny town. Mm-hmm. And so
he went from that to anybody that lived in Oklahoma, which, because people are going to be watching this that don't know that, mm-hmm. he was very popular because they did commercials. Well,
he was like one of the first ones, I think. Now we might get corrected here, but I think he was one of the first ones that started advertising on TV,
right?
And like really flamboyant,
in front of jets, and
people didn't like it. It made it really hard for me and the kids mm-hmm. to operate. Mm-hmm. People didn't like it. And
it just was kind of swarmy.
Yeah, and that's just not who. It was scary. It was like, ugh. It just wasn't. It just was hard on us.
Did you feel during that time isolated from the world?
Yes, isolated. Like that's why that's why God brings in these angels to mm-hmm. you, and they're strangers. And when they leave, you don't want them to go. Mm-hmm. But just like the X-ray tech at Deaconess Hospital here in Oklahoma City. She got up there on that table with me, and she said, you're going to get killed. Mm. Because it had, it
had been escalating.
It had been escalating. People knew about it.
Mm.
Because I hate to say that because I don't feel that way about myself, but they called us high profile, all right? So that high profile, she said, you're in trouble. And she prayed with me. And I was so in over my head, and I couldn't do anything. I was like in it. I was in the grips of the domestic mm-hmm. abuse, and so she released me, and I went home mm-hmm. with pain medication, and my back never really was the same. I got kicked in the low back pretty bad, but there was abuse. I got shot. You just don't get shot. You go through the fire before the shooting.
The shooting is actually the culmination of everything that happened.
This is domestic abuse shootings. These people, these women that get shot by their husbands, or men get shot by their wives. From my experience, this is all just from my experience, they went through it. And and it is really scary. And for people to judge domestic abuse women and men, that's when my anger, that's where I'm like going, y'all, to judge them, you never walk in their shoes. That's when I really get hurt. Mm-hmm. It's not, the gossiping behind my back. I can handle it. I can take it now. But, it still hurts, but, I can handle it a little bit better now because mm-hmm. I'm more equipped,
right,
with the Lord.
Mm-hmm. So, I ask the people that I interview, whenever writers are writing a character, the character always has to have a motivation. And every moment, they're in their whole life they have a motivation, but also moment by moment, scene by scene, something motivates them, pulls them forward. What is your motivation?
What pulls me forward?
Yeah, what is
just survival. And I wanted my children to see the woman that I really was. I wanted them to know they had a good mother, even though I broke for them and I hurt them and I let them down. That's where my shame and guilt comes from today. Even though I know the Lord's forgiven me, because that's part that that's the price he paid up on the cross, is he forgave us for our sins. But I wanted my kids, Stephanie, to see the woman I was and am. And I think they know. They see it. It took a long time. I had to prove myself. I had to prove myself, and it was a day-by-day thing. And
it's interesting that even though that violence happened, even though their father shot you, he's still their father, and they still love him, and they love
their daddy, and they're proud of him, and it's their daddy. I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, it's their dad, and it wasn't all bad for them. There were good times, and there were good times with me and Bill. A lot of good times, but then there was a lot. But it got less and less.
Right.